Life is not going to ask you if you're ready. It's not going to wait for you to finish doubting, complaining, or convincing yourself that tomorrow is the ideal time to act. It's going to hit you without warning and without apologizing. It will do so with problems you didn't see coming, with failures that will make you question everything, with moments where the pressure will be so suffocating that you'll think about giving up. And it's right there where the weak are separated from the strong. Not with motivational speeches, not with pretty phrases stuck on the wall, but with a mindset designed to endure, adapt, and keep moving forward. A Stoic mindset. The problem is not the world. The problem is you, or rather, the way you face it. If you live reacting like a leaf blown by the wind, every obstacle will consume you. Every rejection will destroy you. Every blow of reality will make you crumble. But if you master your mind, if you train your character, if you learn to see chaos as an opportunity to grow, then nothing can break you. Because the difference between those who sink and those who rise is not luck, it's not talent, it's the mindset with which they face life. Today, I'm going to give you 10 Stoic lessons that will not only change the way you see the world, but will give you the tools to take control, stop reacting like a victim, and become truly unstoppable. If you're looking for comfort, this video is not for you. But if you want to learn how to endure pressure without breaking, to move without fear, and to live with clarity in a chaotic world, stay until the end. Because what you're going to hear today can make the difference between a life of resistance or a life of submission. 1. Your first thought is your first battle. Most people don't even realize what's going on inside their own head. They get up and let their mind do whatever it wants. Complaints, doubts, excuses, fear. Before the alarm sounds, they've already lost the day because their first thought was that of a weak person. The Stoics understood this well. The most important battle is not fought outside, but inside. And it starts in the first second of the day. If the first thing you think when you wake up is that you're tired, that you don't feel like it, that today will be another difficult day, then you've already lost. Because your mind is like a muscle. If you train it to give up, it will become an expert in giving up. Marcus Aurelius said it clearly. Your mind will be the way you educate it. If you let your first thought be a complaint, the second will come on its own, and then the third. And so, without realizing it, you will have built a defeatist mentality before even getting out of bed. And it's not about thinking positive, as if you were a child hoping that everything will turn out well by magic. It's about understanding that thought is action, that the first thought of the day is the one that defines your stance towards life. Think of a soldier on the battlefield. If his first thought is fear, if he lets himself be carried away by doubt, he's already dead. But if the moment he steps on enemy ground, he is filled with determination, clarity, decision, then he has a real chance of surviving. It's the same in life. The first thought is your line of defense, and if you don't protect it, everything else crumbles. Most people deceive themselves into thinking that their problems come from the outside, that it's the boss's fault, the economy's fault, the lack of opportunities, the bad weather, luck. But everything starts in the head. How do you expect to conquer the world if you can't even govern your own thought? If the first thing you do in the day is complain, what makes you think the rest of the day will be different? Complaining is addictive. A negative thought opens the door to another, and another, until without realizing it, you live trapped in a victim mentality, waiting for circumstances to change instead of changing yourself. But here's the key. You can't choose what the world throws at you. but you can choose how you react. And the first reaction, the most important one, occurs in your mind. So the next time you wake up and feel the temptation to complain, to procrastinate, to doubt, cut the thought off at the root. Don't give it space. Don't give it oxygen. Start the day as if it were a battle, because it is. Get up with determination. Don't let your mind wander. The moment you wake up, act. Because if you control your first thought, you control the rest of the day. And if you control the rest of the day, you control your life. 2. The perfect moment is a lie. Move now. How many times have you waited for the right moment to do something? When I have more money, when I have more time, when I feel ready. You repeat these excuses over and over again, as if one day the universe is going to align to give you the perfect signal. Let me tell you something that the Stoics knew well. The perfect moment does not exist. It never has existed, and it never will. There is only now. The human being has a natural tendency to procrastinate. We tell ourselves that we need to prepare more, that it is not yet the time, that we must wait to feel confident before we act. But it's a deception. It's fear disguised as logic. It's your mind sabotaging you, convincing you that delaying your actions is the right thing to do, when in reality, all you're doing is wasting your life. Seneca put it bluntly, while we postpone, life goes by. And it's true. While you wait to feel ready, others are already acting. While you hesitate, time keeps running. And when you realize that you lost years waiting for a moment that was never going to come, it will be too late. Look around you. How many people do you know who have been saying for years that they are going to start something, but they never do? I'm going to get in shape, but they keep eating junk. I'm going to start that business, but they keep the same job they hate. I'm going to change my life, but they spend their days trapped in the same routine as always. The problem is not a lack of opportunities. It's not bad luck. It's a lack of decision. The Stoics understood that time is the only thing you will never get back, and every second you spend waiting is a second that will never return. If you want to change something in your life, the only option is to move now. Not tomorrow, not next Monday, not when you feel ready. Now. Because the truth is this: you're never going to feel completely ready. You're never going to have all the answers. There's never going to be a moment where everything falls perfectly into place. And if you wait for that to happen, you'll be waiting until death. So stop fooling yourself. Stop waiting for a sign. The only sign you need is this: the simple fact of being alive. If you want to do something, do it. If you want to change something, change it. Don't look for excuses. Look for movement. Because the difference between those who achieve something and those who are left behind is not luck. It's not talent. It's the ability to act when others are still waiting. Move now. Because every second you hesitate is a second lost. And in this life, seconds are worth more than gold. 3. Break the chains of external validation. If you live to please others, you will never be free. Never. From a young age, we are taught to seek approval. We are rewarded when we do what is expected of us, criticized when we step out of the mold. We grow up fearing rejection, with the need to fit in, to be accepted, to avoid the judgment of others. But tell me something. What price are you paying for that? Think of someone like Socrates, one of the wisest men in history, a thinker who was not afraid to challenge the beliefs of his time. And how did he end up? Condemned to death. Not because he was a criminal, not because he did harm, but because he dared to think for himself. Because he did not conform to what society wanted. But here's the important thing. He never betrayed his truth. Until the last moment, he could have begged for his life. He could have retracted. He could have said what people wanted to hear. But he didn't. He preferred to drink the hemlock rather than live as a coward. And now ask yourself, how easy is it for you to betray your truth just to avoid discomfort? Maybe you want to change careers, but you are held back by fear of what your parents will say. Maybe you want to start a business, but you are terrified that people will mock you if you fail. Maybe you want to express yourself freely, but you censor yourself for fear of being judged. And what do you gain from that? The Stoics knew it well. You cannot control what others think of you. You can do everything perfectly, and there will still be someone who criticizes you. You can try to be the kindest, the most correct, the most impeccable, and there will still be someone who hates you for no reason. So, tell me, why waste your life trying to please others? Fear of judgment is a prison, but the door has always been open. It's you who decides whether to stay inside or finally cross the threshold. Look at the people you admire. Do you think they got far because they did what others expected of them? No. They got far because they had the courage to be different, because they ignored the voices that told them they couldn't, because they lived on their own terms without asking for permission. If you want to live with true freedom, stop seeking validation. Stop waiting for the world to applaud you. Stop trying to be accepted by everyone, because at the end of the day, the only approval that really matters is your own. 4. Let pressure sculpt you, not break you. Most people run from pressure. As soon as they feel life squeezing them, they complain, they freeze, they look for the easiest way out. They see difficulty as a punishment, as an injustice, as something that should disappear to make everything more comfortable. But the Stoics understood something fundamental. Pressure is not the enemy. It is the chisel that sculpts you. Think of a diamond. It doesn't start out as a valuable jewel. It starts as a simple piece of coal. The only reason it becomes something strong, shiny, and resilient is because it withstands extreme pressure. If you take it out of the process too early, if you try to protect it from the intensity of the fire and the weight of the earth, it will never transform into what it is meant to be. The same goes for you. Life is going to crush you at some point. You're going to face failures, betrayals, losses. There will be days when you feel at the limit, where every part of you will want to give up. And that's where you have two options. Let the pressure break you, or let it make you stronger. Marcus Aurelius put it clearly. Fire tests gold. Adversity, strong men. It's not comfortable circumstances that bring out your best version. It's difficulty, it's struggle, it's the ability to bear the load without bending. Because every time you face pressure, instead of avoiding it, you become more resilient. Every time you choose not to complain, you become more indestructible. Look at high-performance athletes, leaders who have changed the world, great thinkers. None of them reached the top because life was easy. They got there because they faced the pressure, because they used adversity as their training, because they understood that every blow was an opportunity to strengthen. So the next time you feel the weight is too much, that the load is crushing you, remember this. It's not a punishment, it's your transformation. Don't run, don't hide, don't make excuses. Hold on, face it, endure, because if you withstand the fire, you will come out the other side transformed into something much stronger than you ever imagined. 5. Don't control the world. Control how you respond to it. Imagine that you're in the middle of the ocean, in a small boat. Suddenly, the wind picks up. The waves hit hard, the storm unleashes, and the sea becomes uncontrollable. What do you do? If you try to fight the storm, if you scream, if you despair, if you get angry because the wind doesn't stop, the only thing you will achieve is to exhaust your strength. You can't make the storm disappear. You can't calm the sea with your anger. But you can hold the helm tightly, adjust the sails, and use the wind to your advantage instead of letting it sink you. Life is exactly the same. No matter how hard you try, you will never have absolute control over what happens. People will let you down. Problems will come when you least expect them. Plans will crumble without warning. And if every time something doesn't go as you want, you react with anger, fear, or frustration, then you will be like that drifting boat, tossed by each wave, completely at the mercy of chaos. Most people live like this. They let anything ruin their day. If someone treats them badly, their mood changes. If something doesn't happen as they planned, they sink into complaint. If life hits them, they react as if the world were against them. They don't understand that peace doesn't come from controlling the outside, but from learning to control the inside. Now tell me, what would happen if you could stand firm no matter what happens? If instead of reacting like everyone else, you learned to respond calmly, intelligently, with control. That is true strength. The weak seek to change the world to their liking. They get frustrated when things don't go as they want. They waste their energy trying to control the uncontrollable. But the strong understand that the key is not to change the storm, but to learn to navigate it. Look around you. How many times have you let something insignificant ruin your day? How many times have you given your power to a situation that deep down didn't matter? Every time you allow the external to control your mental state, you become a slave to circumstances. But when you decide to let go of what you can't change and focus on what is in your hands, your attitude, your approach, your response, then you regain control. Because in the end, it's not about life giving you what you want. It's about learning to take whatever comes and still keep moving forward. 6. Turn every obstacle into a step. The problem is not that life puts difficulties in your path. The problem is what you do with them. There are those who see each obstacle as an insurmountable wall and remain paralyzed. Others see it as an opportunity, a challenge that forces them to become stronger. The difference between those who move forward and those who stay behind is not in the number of problems they face, but in how they use them. Think of the great inventors, the leaders, the people who have changed the world. None of them had an easy path. None of them moved forward without stumbling. Each one faced failures, rejections, difficulties that would have made most people give up. But instead of seeing these problems as the end of the road, they used them as steps. Each fall pushed them to improve. Each barrier forced them to find new solutions. Each mistake made them wiser. But most people don't think like this. They encounter an obstacle, and instead of looking for how to overcome it, they complain, blame others, say that life is unfair. As if complaining would make the problem disappear. As if life would feel bad for them and give them an easier path. The path will never be easy, and that's precisely what makes it valuable. Comfort teaches you nothing. The absence of problems does not make you grow. If everything was simple, anyone could achieve it. But not everyone goes far. Only those who understand that each obstacle is a disguised opportunity. Look at your own life. How many times has a problem that seemed terrible ended up leading you to something better? Maybe a rejection pushed you to find a better opportunity. Maybe a loss taught you a lesson you needed to learn. Maybe a failure forced you to improve until you became stronger than you were before. If you adopt this mindset, everything changes. Problems stop being excuses to give up and become tools for growth. Failures stop being signs of defeat and become training. And instead of seeing each fall as the end of the road, you start to see them as steps that take you higher. So the next time you face an obstacle, don't ask, "Why is this happening to me?" Ask, "How can I use this to my advantage?" Because life is not about avoiding problems, but about learning to use them to become unstoppable. 7. Your mind is your greatest weapon. Sharpen it every day. The body can endure, but if the mind is weak, everything crumbles. You can train to exhaustion, gain strength, accumulate money, surround yourself with influential people. But if you don't train your mind, you will remain fragile. Because sooner or later, life will test you. And there it doesn't matter how much you have, but how strong you are internally. Most people live with an untrained mind, like a blunt sword. They are easy to manipulate. They drown in their emotions. They react without thinking. They let themselves be carried away by any current of distraction. They consume any idea without questioning it. They get lost in the noise of other people's opinions. And so they end up defenseless, without discipline, without clarity, without control. But those who understand the importance of the mind work it like a warrior sharpens his sword. They don't let their thoughts wander aimlessly. They don't consume mental garbage that weakens them. They don't let emotions take control. They train their focus, their endurance, their ability to think clearly, even in the worst moments. Knowledge is power, but it's not enough to accumulate information. The difference between someone strong and someone common is not what they know, but how they apply it. It's useless to read about self-discipline if you don't put it into practice. It's useless to understand Stoic philosophy if you continue to react like a child when something doesn't go your way. Sharpening the mind means learning, questioning, challenging your own beliefs. It means strengthening your ability to concentrate in a world designed to distract you. It means developing a mindset that doesn't buckle under pressure. Look at those who truly master their lives. They are not the richest or the most famous. They are the ones who think clearly, the ones who don't get carried away by panic, the ones who make firm decisions, even in uncertainty. Because when your mind is strong, nothing can knock you off your center. But this doesn't happen overnight. Just as the body needs constant training to become stronger, so does the mind. And if you don't train it, it rusts. Read every day. Don't consume garbage that makes you weaker. Think for yourself. Control your emotions instead of letting them control you. Sharpen your mind as if it were the only weapon you have, because it is. 8. Feel the urgency without falling into despair. A lion on the hunt doesn't pounce on the first prey it sees without thinking. It doesn't run like a madman without a strategy. It moves calmly, analyzes, measures the distance, waits for the right moment. And when it attacks, it does so with absolute precision. It doesn't waste energy. It doesn't despair. It knows that failure means starving, but it also knows that moving without control would lead to failure. Most people don't understand this. They live on two extremes. Either they crawl aimlessly, wasting time as if they were immortal, or they panic, wanting to do everything at once, without direction, without strategy, without a clear purpose. Both are lost. There are those who procrastinate, leaving important things for later, believing that there will always be another opportunity. They deceive themselves with phrases like, "I'll start tomorrow," when I have more time. Now is not the time. And when they finally open their eyes, it's too late. Their life has slipped through their fingers, and they did nothing with it. And then there are the others, those who live in constant frenzy, those who run without direction, those who fill themselves with useless tasks just to feel productive, those who work tirelessly but without strategy. They spend all their energy on moving, but they don't progress. They are like a fly trapped in a window, hitting the glass over and over again until it falls exhausted. None of these paths lead to greatness. Those who truly understand how to move in life know how to balance urgency with calm. They don't waste time, but they also don't squander it on meaningless movements. They know that every day counts, that every minute is a resource they will never be able to recover. But they also know that haste without direction is as dangerous as inaction. It doesn't matter if you have big dreams or if you want to change your life. If you don't move with intention, you will never get anywhere. Real urgency is not about running out of control, but about acting with precision, like the lion before it attacks. So stop postponing what's important. Stop filling your schedule with purposeless tasks just to feel like you're doing something. Ask yourself, are you moving forward or just moving? Are you attacking with strategy or simply reacting? Every second you lose is a second you will never get back. Move with urgency, but without losing your head. Because in this life, it's not the one who runs the most who wins, but the one who knows exactly when and how to attack. 9. Find calm in the midst of chaos. A ship in the middle of a storm can do two things: let itself be carried by the wind and the waves, spinning out of control until it capsizes, or maintain a steady course, no matter how strongly the storm lashes out. The difference is not in the storm, but in who holds the helm. The world is a constant chaos. Problems, distractions, news that bombards you with fear, people trying to provoke you, situations beyond your control. If you don't learn to find calm within all that disorder, you will become a prisoner of chaos. Look at the people around you. They are in a frantic race, jumping from worry to worry, being dragged along by any problem, reacting without thinking to everything that happens. They have no control over their own minds. They simply respond to stimuli like leaves being swept by the wind. And here's the truth. If the chaos outside dominates your inner state, you will never have peace. You can change cities, jobs, partners, you can run away from difficult situations, but if you don't learn to control your reaction, the chaos will follow you wherever you go. Those who manage to maintain calm in the midst of disaster are the ones who end up leading. They are the ones who think clearly when everyone else panics. They are the ones who make firm decisions when others lose their heads, not because the world is less chaotic for them, but because they have learned to govern themselves. Look at the warriors before the battle. They are not trembling, they are not screaming, they are not paralyzed, they are serene, because they know that losing their calm means losing the battle before it begins. That same mindset is what you should apply in your life. You can't control what happens outside, but you can decide not to let it consume you. Stand firm when everything around you crumbles. Don't react impulsively. Don't be swept up in collective hysteria. Don't let the external storm become an internal storm. Think about this. When water enters a ship, it's because there was a crack. The same happens with you. If the chaos of the world manages to sneak into your mind and destabilize you, it's because you allowed there to be a crack in your internal control. It's not about avoiding problems, it's about facing them with absolute calm. When you manage to find serenity in the worst of times, you become unstoppable. 10. You are not what you think. You are what you do. Intentions mean nothing without action. You can spend hours imagining the life you want, telling yourself that someday you'll do this or that, promising yourself that you'll change. But if you do nothing, then you're nothing more than empty words. You are not what you think. You are what you do. Many people deceive themselves into believing that their value lies in their ideas, in their desires, in what they could do if they wanted to. They feel good dreaming, planning, theorizing, but they never take the first step. And then, when they see someone achieving what they wanted, they call it luck. It wasn't luck, it was action. It doesn't matter how much knowledge you accumulate, how much you read, how many theories you understand. If you don't apply any of that in reality, it's the same as not knowing it. Ideas without execution are like unloaded weapons. They seem dangerous, but they're useless. The world doesn't move by thoughts, but by actions. The problem is that acting means taking risks, and most people are terrified of that. They prefer to live in the comfort of possibility rather than the harshness of reality. They prefer to say, if I wanted to, I could do it, instead of trying and facing the possibility of failure. But that mentality is a silent poison, because in the end, it doesn't matter what you think you could do. The only thing that matters is what you actually do. Think about the great achievements in history. None of them materialized because someone just imagined it. They were the result of action. People who faced fear, who took the first step, who made mistakes, learned, and kept moving forward. Statues are not erected in honor of those who dreamed, but those who did. Ask yourself something. If someone could see each of your actions but couldn't hear your thoughts, what image would they have of you? Would they say you're someone disciplined or someone who just says they are? Would they see someone who pursues their goals or someone who gives up before they start? The difference between those who achieve what they want and those who spend their lives dreaming is in one point. The former act, the latter only think about acting. And every day that goes by without you moving is proof that you never will. The world doesn't judge you for what you plan to do. It judges you for what you do. It doesn't define you by what you have in your head. It defines you by what you materialize in reality. A warrior doesn't become strong by imagining himself fighting. He becomes strong because he trains every day. A writer doesn't become a master of his art because he has great ideas, but because he writes relentlessly. A leader is not the one who dreams of leading. It's the one who makes decisions and takes responsibility for their actions. So stop deceiving yourself. If you want to be something, do it. Don't wait for inspiration. Don't seek permission. Don't waste time justifying why you haven't done it yet. Act. Because in the end, it doesn't matter what you think of yourself. The only thing that matters is what you do with your life.
Thank you for staying until the end of the video. If you watched the whole thing, comment "I am Stoic" as our secret signal to know that you're a true student of Stoicism. Don't forget to subscribe and give the video a like if you enjoyed it. See you in the next video, and remember, keep cultivating your Stoic mind.